Guys, I hope you're ready for some fun. We've been learning all about productivity and getting into a state of flow, and now we're going to apply that concept to the time that we spend on a task to achieve that state of flow. And I'm going to do this through a concept I call flow mountain. Now, flow mountain can be described as a kind of graph, right? Where we have time on the x-axis and productivity on the y-axis. So time is moving on the x-axis, time is being spent on a task, and our productivity is increasing and decreasing as we spend more time on a task, or beyond a certain point it might start to decrease. So what we begin with is just this general curve that so perfectly describes productivity as a whole. And it's actually split into 4 sections. So the first stage is called the pit of eternal procrastination, and it roughly amounts to the first 2 minutes of any task. Now, at this stage, our mind is just beginning to process the task in front of us. It creates all these thoughts about how daunting the task is, how difficult it's going to be, how long it's going to take, how we'd rather be doing anything but this task, for example, studying right now, and how this is also pointless because we're going to fail our exams anyway, and so on. This is the stage where we're tempted to succumb to these thoughts. We write a sentence and then we just gaze out the window. We leave our desk to get some water from the kitchen. We grab our phone and check social media. Guys, at this point, we are stuck in the pit of eternal procrastination. When we resume our task, we're back at time equals 0, and we'll have to navigate our way through that dreaded pit, that first 2 minutes, once again. Now, this is why so many people often say that the hardest part of any task is just getting started. It's so important to remember that while these 120 seconds are so crucial, they're not useful. Because if you look at the y-axis, our productivity levels are going to be so low anyway. Now, this is why this part can just be summarized as don't think, just do. It doesn't matter if you're not doing productive work at this stage. Put music on, do whatever it takes to just get you doing that task for those first 2 minutes. There's this beautiful concept called mastering the art of the first 2 minutes, and it's crucial when forming any habit. Instead of thinking about the daunting task ahead of you in terms of your exams, focus on mastering the first 2 minutes of leading up to that point. In other words, don't worry about studying for an hour or 2. Focus on the first 2 minutes of that task. Become incredible at sitting at your desk, opening your textbook, getting your notepad out and putting pen on paper and starting to write. Doesn't matter what you're writing, just start to write. If you can master the first 2 minutes of that task, you are well on your way on getting your productivity up and moving way up on flow mountain. So let's say that you've managed to achieve this. You now move on to what is called the YOFO SoCo chasm. Now, YOFO SoCo, I'd love to say there were 2 scientists, but actually it just stands for you fool, you are so close, right? Because this 10 minutes is so crucial. At this stage, you are so close to getting way up on productivity mountain. You are so close to attaining that state of flow. But if during this 10 minutes, you deviate from that task, you end up right back at that pit of eternal procrastination. You take that little break in between while you're still in that first 10 minutes or so, you're right back at the beginning. You've got to navigate the pit again, go up that chasm again. So the most important thing to keep in mind with the YOFO SoCo chasm is we want no distractions around us. We just want to stay fully focused for this 10 to 12 minutes that we're in this zone, and we want to keep moving no matter what. In total, the pit of eternal procrastination and the YOFO SoCo chasm will take between 10 and 12 minutes to get through, which fits in line with this idea of the 10-minute rule. Once you get past that 10-minute stage, your mind tells you that you've already invested so much time and energy into it that it doesn't want to stop anymore. It's illogical for it to stop. So this is so important to keep in mind. Get through the pit of eternal procrastination and get through the YOFO SoCo chasm. You are so close, just keep going. Now, once we do this, we then reach the effortless effort rise. Now, the effortless effort rise is when this task that we're doing, we start to enter that state of flow when doing it. It's when we're having a steady rhythm with our work. It starts to feel a bit effortless. Now, it's still effort because we're still applying energy and we're still thinking through things, but it feels effortless because we're just flowing through that task. We're over half of our peak productivity now, and we can just focus on the task ahead and focus on getting to the peak of productivity mountain, the peak of flow mountain. Now, depending on who we are, we can spend a varying amount of time on the effortless effort rise. For some of us, we spend 10 minutes on it and we're already at maximum productivity. Others of us move up slower through it and it can take 20 minutes to get through that time. The beautiful thing about effortless effort rise is the more we practice, the longer we can spend on that beautiful rise. And that if we do get a slight interruption, say mum goes, "What's for dinner?" and you answer her, you can just resume exactly back where you started. You don't have to go all the way back down to that pit of eternal procrastination. You don't have to navigate the YOFO SoCo chasm. You can just go straight back to where you were. Now, if we're successful in navigating this, we get to the mountain peak. This is where we're at almost 100% productivity. It's the most beautiful place to be in. We are fully immersed in that task. Now, the way to describe this stage is that we want to watch the sunrise, so fully immerse and enjoy being in a state of flow. But don't freeze to death. You've been doing this task for quite a while now, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, and it's possible that your productivity is going to start to drop again. So get off the mountain. Take a really nice 5-minute break, or a 10-minute break if you've been working for 45 minutes or more, and then resume. And the beautiful thing is that when you resume, you'll have what I call a mountaineer level up. You can just resume already at almost 50% productivity. You can already start moving towards reaching maximum flow in a much shorter time. Now, if unfortunately you spend a bit longer resting than you should, you're just going to come further down that productivity peak again, and you're going to have to start much lower down. And of course, if you spend too long, you end up at what I call the Yorman rest time. The "you really messed up now" rest time, because you're just going to have to go right back to the beginning, navigating the pit of eternal procrastination, the YOFO SoCo chasm, and all of the traps that come with navigating those again. Guys, I really hope this analogy has been useful in helping you understand the way that we flow. The timings that we have for reaching these stages of productivity are different for all of us. But the more we practice, the better that we get at reaching the highest stages of productivity in the shortest amount of time. So put in that work and enjoy reaching that effortless effort rise and the mountain peak. Master the art of the pit of eternal procrastination. Master the art of the first 2 minutes. Keep going through that YOFO SoCo chasm and then enjoy the rise to the peak.